Hello, hello, hey, hi, hello. We have another day of Ikoria previews. I think the last day was probably the peak craziness we're going to get for spoilers for this set, or possibly really any Magic set for quite a while. But there's lots and lots of cards yet to see. I'm quite excited to see just how extreme they're going to go in the various themes that they've set forth, i.e. big creatures, crazy mutations, and all of these weird deck building restriction mechanics. So let's plunge in. We'll do full. That looks good. Here we have another Godzilla crossover. They're digging deep into the Godzilla lore. I haven't even heard of this character. Biolante from Godzilla versus Biolante. Makes sense. And it changes. It grows through different plant type forms. I see. I see. Okay. Death Touch Lifelink. Whenever this creature mutates, return any number of creature cards with total power 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. I like these sort of ones where it's about hitting some total power or some total CMC or something like that. It just gives you so much flexibility in, like, do you want one big dude? Do you want a small army of little dudes? So it kind of has some, like, interesting decision making even on, like, a casual level. And then on, like, a more competitive level, you have, like, your Johnny types who are immediately dreaming up what combination of creatures with total power 10 or less can just win the game right on the spot. Not that casting a 7-mana mutate that requires another creature on the battlefield is the best way to kickstart your combo, but it's a way, and I think people might have some fun with that. Just an exciting effect. So it looks like there's a full cycle of these 3-color wedge. These are all wedge colored, I think, i.e. 2 allied colors and an enemy color. I think there's going to be a full set of those in the Mythic Rare slot, so we've seen a couple already. They're all Cat Nightmare Beasts, but then the Godzilla monsters they're matched up with, definitely not Cat Nightmare Beasts. Cat especially inappropriate. Here we have the Sprite Dragon. It's a fairy dragon! Oh, that's so cute! Flying Haste, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Sprite Dragon. Oh, that seems like it could be pretty powerful. Well, I guess we'll see those other ones eventually. Yeah, I don't know. This is a very straightforwardly aggressive play. I guess the problem is that a lot of these decks that are looking to cast tons and tons of non-creature spells aren't really going to be winning through creature damage in the end. They don't really care to be swinging it with their Sprite Dragon. All these spells they're casting are what's putting in the work. But maybe in a more controlling deck, this is kind of an interesting finisher. You just play a bunch of stuff to protect it, and to shut down whatever else your opponent is doing, and then eventually it's huge, and you just swing in. It's so cute, though. Yeah, maybe it could be good. We have the Labyrinth Raptor, a Nightmare Dinosaur. Just all these creature type mashups. You can tell this was one of the things they were most excited about doing in this set, and when they were doing the little like Easter egg teasers where Mara was just listing off things that would be in the set, a lot of them were about crazy creature types. Very Simic-y. So what is this? 2/2 for 2 with Menace. Whenever a creature you control with Menace becomes blocked, defending player sacrifices a creature controlling, blocking it. So this is like Menace Tribal. It doesn't actually bestow Menace, but it helps Menace creatures fire breathe, and this is actually a very strong effect. So realistically, given all of the downsides to blocking and all of the hoops you have to jump through to even block in the first place, this is basically making your Menace creatures unblockable. And besides the most extreme, like, do or die circumstances. And then because they're probably going to go unblocked, you get this awesome mass fire breathing effect. Very interesting card, very pushed, I think. It's like as strong as this design could possibly be without it just being totally outrageous. It's all going to come down to, like, if you can make this sort of Menace Tribal thing happen. But I don't know, I think it's worth a try. Like, this is such a powerful enabler. This is the other form of that plant thing. Very, very creepy. Cool design, though. I love the art on these. Like, the first one was so, like, extreme or whatever, I didn't see the appeal as much. But this one, it's quite ominous and haunting, and it looks like a drawing that someone who is half mad made of the last thing they saw before their mind was irreversibly warped, you know, like that kind of heaviness to it. You look at it and you're like, could this thing really still be out there? Here we have Gem Razor, aka Angu Iris, the Armored Killer. Another Godzilla creature that I haven't heard of. He's got a whole Wikipedia article. First monster to ever be shown engaging in combat with Godzilla in a film. Wow, historic. This is this is what really made the kaiju kind of genre take off, is the idea of having them fight each other. If it wasn't for this guy, Godzilla would just be stomping around cities by himself. Lonely, kind of sad. Definitely not something that becomes an international super mega hit for decades and decades. Anyways, here he's not so big. A 4/4 for 4. Reach trample. Whenever this creature mutates, destroy target artifact or enchantment and opponent controls. Okay. Makes sense. The thing is, like, all these mutate costs, I'm thinking about this more, and it's like, it doesn't help you out in situations where you're at your most desperate, i.e., you don't have a creature on the board, and they have some oppressive artifact or enchantment that's kind of locking down your battlefield. If this was Reclamation Sage, if this was Thrashing Brontosaurus or whatever, easy peasy. But with this guy, you already need another creature. Like, it seems like, I don't know, given that restriction, and given the fact that, you know, you get 2-for-1 if they manage to murder your creature or whatever, your big stacked creature, that is. Like, we know about the anti-2-for-1 technology, the anti-feels-bad technology they have, where, you know, if mutate has an illegal target, then just the normal creature comes down, which I still think is crazy, because you can cast it for cheaper in that case. At any rate, like, once you get the creature down, though, once the mutate is complete, you've really opened yourself up for all removal to just be a 2-for-1. So mutate has a lot of weaknesses, and given those weaknesses, looking back at like the mutate effects we've seen so far, I don't know. I don't know if it's really going to be worth it. It's going to be interesting. Because, like, yeah, it's like when you need this the most desperately, when you're that far behind, is when it's going to be hardest to have the creature ready. Colossalification. What in the world? Plus 20, plus 20. Doesn't give trample, which is kind of funny, because if the creature already has trample, then this is probably overkill. It's already probably a pretty beefy guy. The fact that it gives plus 20, plus 20, you know, and turns your mana dork into a one-swing lethal threat is, I think, supposed to be the appeal. The fact that it taps the creature when it enters, it's a little suspect. It means that you're never really going to blow them out with this, unless you already have a lot of the pieces in play. Yeah, I'm thinking probably not a good card. If it is somehow good, it'll be because of stuff that cheats auras around, or somehow, I don't know, somehow makes this work. But it doesn't really just work by itself, I think. Very exciting card, though. I will give it that for sure. Plus 20, plus 20. Did I ever think I would see the day? It's appropriate because it's 2020! I guess? Good enough reason to make it 2020 aura. This is the other form of that guy. Gem Razor, sure, yeah. See, like, this kind of really explosive, like, mid-90s edgy comic book art doesn't do a lot for me, but I'm happy to see Magic keep dipping its toes into different aesthetic pools. I like the variants more than I would like having just things that I liked, if that makes sense. But this I think shows a greater potential. All of these ones where they're just like, blah, we're coming at you. I don't know, not so exciting for me. Here's yet another Godzilla. When I was looking at comments for the previous cards that we looked at, a big complaint was that Godzilla was only only a 7/7. That they felt like something that was given Godzilla's name ought to be much beefier. And it's not even really a 7/7, it's like a pseudo 7/7 because it has its power equals toughness type mechanic. At any rate, here we have another one. This is just an 8/8. It's a dinosaur turtle. I don't know if it sounds like Godzilla, but whatever. They got to make a bunch of Godzilla ones because not as many people know about Ingurius or Biolante. They know Godzilla. Trample haste when you cycle it. Shuffle it into your library from your graveyard. If you cycled a card named it before 4 or more times this game, put it onto the battlefield from your graveyard instead. Okay. Now this is nice because it reinforces the fact that the card's name is actually this. The card's name is this subtitle. I saw some comments from people who thought like that these alters, these special edition prints, were mechanically different because they actually had a different name. So if you named Yadaro with Phyrexian Revoker, Godzilla would still be able to use its abilities. Not that it has any abilities, but you know what I'm saying. So I'm glad that there's at least one card that has very explicit rule text showing you that that is not the case, just for those people that were confused. At any rate, this is a pretty cool effect. You just keep cycling it, and then eventually you just get to cast it for free. And you still get the cycle at that time. You draw a card as well. So that's kind of cool, and it's only 1 more mana distributed over as many turns as you need. This seems quite powerful, potentially. Especially if you have cycling payoffs, cycling reducing costs. As I said, there's already very close to a strong cycling deck in Pioneer, I believe, and potentially even in Modern. We already saw that one cycling lord guy who just seemed outrageously strong to me. Sorry, I was playing with a hair tie and it flicked off underneath my desk. So this seems like a really good finisher. Trample and haste, like you can just suddenly wait for the board to be empty. Oops, I can cycle 2 more copies of this. Out of nowhere, Godzilla is stomping at your door. I like it. Ooh, Destroya, another Godzilla monster that I have heard of. Mostly I've heard of the ones that MF Doom and his friends talk about. That's like my main source for Godzilla lore. So this is actually a Phoenix, sure. If you cast this spell for its mutate cost, sure. Wait, why am I reading that? Sure. Flying, whenever it mutates, create a red artifact token with named Feather with 1, sack it, return target Phoenix card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Neat. So Wizards will always print Phoenix cards. They'll always be quite similar. I wonder if I can find please find this. It was called Red Phoenix like that. Maybe they spelled it right. Come on. Is that even how you spell Phoenix? Yeah. Well, I can't find it. Dang. How do I find this? I'm pretty sure it was on this subreddit. Ah, dang. Basically, it was just like a really crudely MS Paint drawn Phoenix. And the rules text says, if it dies, it doesn't die. Flies, too. If it dies, it doesn't die. Which, you know, this is as well. This is kind of like Rekindling Phoenix, which creates the little ember. This time it's an artifact instead of a very weak creature, so it's conceivably harder to kill, maybe in some circumstances easier to kill. But what I really like is that you can get any Phoenix back with it. I think that's actually super cool. But they just open it up a little bit. It probably makes it more mechanically easier to template within the rules as well. But it opens the door for a little bit of Phoenix tribal shenanigans that you can mutate this onto something, then have your most expensive Phoenix coming back. Yeah, I don't know. It's neat. Does he look like a Phoenix? Not really. This is what, wow. I like that. Again, extremely like 80s, 90s comic book style art. This looks like something that could be in the X-Men Phoenix Saga, but really well done. Wow, just so bold and explosive. I love it, I love it. Here we see an alt art for Cloud Piercer, a card we saw before. Cool, even some commons are getting alt art, that's pretty neat. King Caesar. I think this was one of the ones that was leaked. I think that's why it looks familiar. Yeah, I think I saw the leak of this card. Sure, this is kind of setting up this like whenever this creature mutates, other creatures you control. So they all get plus X, where X is the number of cards on the stack, the number of creatures like all involved. Sure, I guess. It's kind of awkward because it's like a team-wide boost, but mutating the creature a lot suggests that you should just have one gigantic creature, right? That's been mutated a bunch of times. So it's this kind of like go wide with a spike type strategy, which Wizards has encouraged a few other times. But I always find, I don't know, it's like kind of awkward for players maybe, especially with the freedom that Mutate has, that you could keep, you know, like you have total flexibility in where that spike is and how many spikes you have of power among your wide team. So I think it's like good in a sense because it leads to kind of some interesting decisions and kind of having to weigh these trade-offs, split your focus, I think leads to kind of challenging gameplay. At the same time, I feel like when you're drafting, when you're playing limited, it's actually more fun to just have like a very kind of clear objective that you know your deck will function really well if you focus on wide or you focus on tall. And you don't really need to judge every time like, oh, am I straying too far in this direction? Am I straying too far in that direction? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a wimp and I need to get good at deck building. But anyways, moving on. Here we have the first of many spoilers that's in another language, and this is just a blurry picture. A classic of spoiler season. Breach the barrier, exile up to 3 target enchantments. Ooh la la. This is like maybe kind of anti-god technology as a response to Theros. As far as I know, none of the Theros Beyond Death gods have been like particularly strong or oppressive or anything, but I feel like because it's exile and stuff, that maybe they were kind of, excuse me, putting that in mind. Sure. Crazy art. I don't know what the heck is going on. This is that spooky cat we saw before. Really spooky. I love it. Here's that guy we saw before. He hates gems for some reason. Ooh, I love this design. It's just a big turtle. It's just wandering about. I understand the flavor a little better now too. Like I saw that it was a turtle on the type line, but now that I see this art, the way he's just kind of like looking out into the distance, 1 foot up, like where am I gonna go next? Over there looks kind of interesting. That feels really mechanically fitting with this idea that you keep letting him loose into your library. He shows up again. Let him go again. He shows up again. You know, it's and then eventually he stays to fight. It's cool. It's cool. It's like a real kind of character and story embedded just in the mechanics and just the smallest suggestions in the art. I love it. Is the normal art for the Phoenix? That looks like a Phoenix. If it dies, it doesn't. And I think we saw like the full art version of this before. Okay. But yeah, I really like this card. I think it just seems so outrageously strong. And yet the sort of strength that it's going to have, like the sort of gameplay that it's going to lead to, is going to be not totally different than normal white weenies, but will be like kind of crazy and interesting in its own way. I don't know. Is it really as strong as I think it is? Like, is there something I'm missing? Just seems absurd. Migration path. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Put them on the battlefield tapped and shuffle your library. Seems good enough. Cycling is quite nice for a card like this. At some point, you don't really care to have any more lands. Holy, it's Jaws. Jaws the shark. Goddamn. Okay. Counter target artifact or creature spell. Okay, that's actually pretty cool. It's curious to me. Lately, sorry, this is a huge tangent. I was thinking earlier about that rampaging Brontodon or whatever it's called. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. Oh, this isn't even the card I thought it was. Where's the one that destroys an artifact? Oh, you know the one I mean. Anyways, I've been thinking about how Wizards depicts like creatures that just kind of through their hugeness and ancientness kind of wield some sort of mysterious innate magic, and how that differs from the ways that, and you know, that sort of creature would be like, ah, shoot, what's it called? Okay, we can figure this out. Dinosaur enchantment. Oh, what? Oh, excuse me. Dinosaur enchantments. There we go. Thrashing Brontodon. I looked for rampaging Brontodon. So like this thing, you know, how is it destroying artifacts and enchantments? Well, the artifact we can see in the art, but the enchantment seems like it has kind of some strange mysticality about it that just happens naturally from being like a maniful creature over so many years. Sorry, this is a huge tangent. And how this is different, its kind of ability and how it interacts with the rest of the game of Magic. How is that different from like a spellcrafter? How is it different from like a wizard, someone who's just kind of casting spells and doing effects? And what I've noticed is it's more about like ETB type stuff or like sacrifice type stuff. That kind of conveys this like naturality to it. The shark just shows up, and in doing so, it somehow nabs a bunch of magic from the air and stops a creature from being summoned. It's kind of cool. At any rate, this card seems quite strong. Just having a flash 5/4 is already like worth considering. And then you get to counter something too. The art is phenomenal. Oh my god. Whole lot to love about this. All of these flash counter creatures have always been, I think, worth considering. And this one has the stats, like, that it becomes such an efficient beater on probably a much emptier board than your opponent was hoping for. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I love it. I hope it gets a third type of art, too. You get to see it in all its glory. And after all these, like, complicated creature types and stuff, I like that it's just straight up shark. This is what a shark looks like. How many other sharks have there been? Oops. Shark. Just this. Only one shark. Dire Tactics. Exile target creature. If you don't control a human, you lose life equal to that creature's toughness. So this, like Mutate, is setting up a human, non-human dichotomy. This is a human-oriented card. We haven't seen really any other ones so far. But Thrones of Eldraine also kind of had this same thing going on. But yeah, this actually seems quite strong. 2 mana, just exile anything, and the downside is not even really a downside in most situations, like, or rather is not even a relevant downside in most situations, because you'd much rather just get rid of it and prevent the damage from it hitting again and again and again than just this one-time loss. Like, stuff like Swords to Plowshares makes this pretty clear. Yeah, I don't know. This seems quite strong. And in the human deck, of course, there's no reason whatsoever to not run this. Big Boy Forest Crusher. I like when Skyfall just comes up with their own names. Trample. Whenever one or more creatures you control with Trample deal combat damage to a player, create an XX green dinosaur beast creature token with Trample, where X is the damage those creatures dealt to the player. Ooh, now that is quite fun. The flavor, I guess, is that something else in the herd comes running along once they see all the fun that's being had. Yeah, this seems like it can be pretty strong. What's cool about all of these mechanical tribal cards, like the one we saw with Menace earlier, is that this is the set with the ability tokens. So there's going to be all sorts of stuff that can permanently give trample to things. Yeah, I'm all about it. Very cool card. I don't know. It's hard to evaluate it because it's hard to know how many trample token givers, how many natural tramplers there'll be in this set. But it seems like there's a lot of potential here. Back for more. Ooh. Ooh, reanimation and removal. Ooh. This seems quite good. This is nice with Griselbrand because you get lifelink from the fight. So you get to draw more cards right away without even having to swing with it. Yeah, this is pretty cool. It's like expensive, but it's an instant? Instant speed, basically removal, plus you get a huge fatty to stick around afterwards. Yeah, I don't know. This card seems actually fairly pushed. More pushed than I would have expected a reanimation spell to be. I mean, 6 mana, it kind of defeats the purpose of reanimation, I guess, if your reanimation spell is costing more than a lot of the creatures you want to just beat down with, but I'm curious. Can they make that work? Valiant Rescuer. This guy. This guy is back. I don't know. The pose is so stiff. This is such a strange, silly art. Like, the more I look at it, just the raptor, like, the fact that it seems like the raptor has just broken the bridge that they're running on, so the raptor is like seconds away from just falling into the lake or whatever. Yeah, this seems fun. Yeah, okay, sure. Whenever you cycle another card for the first time each turn, create a human, sure, sure, and then you can cycle it yourself, sure, sure. Okay. And the stats are actually pretty nice. Like, this just as a turn 2 play, even if you don't have much cycling synergy. That beats down. Whoa! Yeah, Seb. I knew it. I should have called it. Well, I guess it was here too, but I knew it. Who else but Seb? Beautiful, beautiful art. It's so mysterious. Like the way it's evocative of like ancient people's art and cave art and other primitive art, while still seeming like very different. Like the actual kind of symbolism used and the design of this Vadrock is just so unique. And that to me is what really makes world building feel so fresh and alive, is like going right to the edge with something you recognize and then having the key component of it actually be totally different. What does this actually do? 5 damage divided as you choose among any number of creatures and planeswalkers. If white and blue was spent to cast this spell until your next turn, those permanents can't attack or block and their activated abilities can't be activated. Wow, that is a blowout and a half for only 4 mana. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, it can't go face, so it's not going to win the game on its own. But the fact that it makes them not block, like, this can save your butt. This can practically win you the game. Yeah, this card seems kind of strong in this hypothetical 3-color deck. In just the mono red deck, even, it seems pretty good. That's just removal. This is really interesting. I don't think they've ever done this before, asked for 2 different types of mana. They've had it where it's like, if this color was used, do something, something. If this color was used, do something, something. But never the condition being both of them being used. So this is quite interesting. Quite interesting. Odd the evens. Choose odd or even. Exile each creature with a converted mana cost of the chosen parity. Ooh, parity. Ooh, I love that word, parity. 0 is even, my favorite remainder text. Cool card. It looks like this odd or even thing is going to be a bit of a theme, because we already saw the thing that cared about even costed mana cost as one of the companion deck building requirements, which again I still think is extremely weird, but whatever. I think it's cool. I think it's like an area of the game that they haven't milked that much in terms of like having things that care about it. So that's really cool. At the same time, I kind of liked how Void Winnower just seemed so unique, seemed so alien, because it was like an Eldrazi, and the Eldrazi cared about like things that us mere mortals like could never even access. You know, like the parity of a mana cost. So it's I don't know. It kind of feels like it's almost cheapening it to some extent, but I think it's worth it just because the mechanical space is so cool. Is this a strong card? I don't know how to evaluate that at all. How often do you get to hit the like 3 or 4 things? And it hits your own guys too. Very interesting. I don't know. Trump Shard. Huh? Oh, like Trump card. I was thinking like Donald Trump, and I'm like, what the fuck? What does this mean? But yeah, like a Trump card, Trump Shard. Very good, Skyfall. There's an additional cost to cast a spell, reveal a creature card from your hand. Deals damage equal to the reveal card's power to targeted creature or planeswalker. Direct damage from green? Call the Morrow alarm. Call the Morrow alarm. If you don't know, Morrow, the head magic designer, who I refer to quite often, absolutely hates this card. This is like one of his least favorite cards ever. We're never ever going to see it reprinted again, I'm sure, because it's green doing direct damage. does not like that. Green's damage should come through the creatures. And this was a big reason he was an advocate of the fight mechanic, because it allows you to still do targeted damage, but you use your creatures to do it. This is kind of a gray area. This is a liminal space between the two that they haven't explored. It's just a sorcery that does damage. You don't actually have had to have played your big creature. At least it doesn't go face. I think if it went face, Morrow would be screaming so loud we could hear him here in Canada. But still quite interesting. Still quite interesting. A neat card though. I think it'll lead to interesting gameplay. So all those cards that kind of, you just show something from your hand to have some effect, I think are quite interesting. Forecast and only Forecast comes to mind, but whatever. Ooh, a Mana Dork. This is, wow, okay. Okay, all right, this is actually pretty cool. This is a neat effect. Synergistic with all sorts of decks, of course. This, of course, is just fantastic. I mean, a 2-mana Dork is about all we can hope for these days. So I'll take it. But what really excites me is these stats. I've never seen a Mana Dork with stats like this that can actually swing in for quite a lot of damage. And then when the 1 toughness becomes too much of a hassle, it provides really good utility, like either presumably fueling your deck and all of its graveyard shenanigans, or just ramping you into stuff, like maybe that gigantic reanimation card. Seems very solid. Study bone because that's where truth dwells. One monster's knucklebone is wiser than all that damp meat in your head. I like it. Haunting. Confusing, but haunting. Oh, that was a weird noise. I think at first I thought this was a planeswalker. And I was going to be like, whoa, another planeswalker. And then I was just like, oh, it's just a dude. Okay. A human tribal lord, pretty rare. Whenever it or another human enters the battlefield under your control, exile target card from an opponent's graveyard. So it's like human, hate bear, graveyard hate type stuff. Sack 2 humans to start trade. Wow. Very interesting card. And the stats are good too. The human tribal deck has had a lot of ups and downs. I don't really know where it's kind of stands now. I don't know if they'd even want this. Like a 3-mana card is like pretty rare for them. So this would be kind of top of the curve. But this is something that they really haven't had access to before, and it gets kind of just some graveyard hate as a bonus. Yeah, this thing does a lot. It's kind of neat. I don't know. I always thought humans was like a neat deck. I know a lot of people like hate it, find it really, really annoying to play against. But I just think it's kind of funny that like this almost like non-creature type, just like default vanilla creature type, very, very slowly accumulated enough synergy that suddenly like all of these like disparate random diaspora humans from different sets could come together in a crazy like 5-color deck and be humans. All right, Dreamtail Heron, very straightforward card, sure, but seems strong enough. Fertilde, there's a battlefield with 2+1/+1 counters on it. Remove 1. Ooh, wow. This thing ramps you like pretty crazy. Oh, it's a reprint. I don't remember seeing this card before. That's nice ramp for like limited or whatever. That's good. Mutate whenever this creature mutates, each opponent sacks a creature. Sure. Seems like a card they would make. Very creepy looking. Man, there's a lot of nightmares in this set. I wonder if there'll be any nightmare tribal payoffs. I don't know if there have been before. It's like a very sporadically supported creature type. I remember there was a lot of nightmares like back in the day when I started playing Magic, like all of those ones that like do something when they enter and then undo it when they leave. Like, oh, you know, the dragon that was banned for a long time because there was an infinite combo using that. World Gorger Dragon. But now they're back. Nightmares are back. How spooky. Next is the number of times this creature mutated. Okay. So it's interesting. Some of these are like just once. Some of these are for each mutation. But it's neat. You get to re-trigger all of the onces, and then each time you trigger this one, it's even bigger. So you can like double mutate, right? Like you can have 2 hemiphages mutated onto 1 creature. I don't think there's any reason why you can't. And then each subsequent mutation, this triggers twice. It's gets pretty nuts pretty fast. Cavern Whisper, another nightmare. Mutate, Menace, never to. Oh, okay. This seems fine. Fiend Artisan. Now suddenly a mythic rare. A nightmare. +1/+1 for each creature in your graveyard. Oh, ooh la la. That's quite interesting. It just Green Sun Zeniths all day, every day. Of course, you have to sack another creature. Makes it a little worse than GSZ, but yeah. I don't know. This seems really high potential in like utility box hate bear type decks. It can conceivably be mono green, so you can even play it in like green white hate bears. But yeah, just being able to dig up the particular creature that shuts your opponent down seems really useful. And then, you know, it just keeps growing as you're using the ability. I'm very curious about this card. This is the sort of card that like looks like a lot of fun. It looks like it just synergizes so well with crazy singletony type decks. It feels like it just could enable some really cool setups and combos and stuff. But then 90% of the time, cards that look like that don't end up really performing the way you want them to. The rare exceptions are stuff like Birthing Pod, where it's like, oh, it actually works even better than you would have thought. But I don't know, I'm always skeptical of these cards. Like, it just looks so cool, but then in the end of the day, is it really going to work out the way you think it will? I don't know. Boon of the Wishgiver, just draw 4. Easy peasy, draw 4. And cycling 1. These cycling 1 cards are just blowing my mind. It seems like, I don't know. Cycling 1? I don't know. It's crazy. It's literally just a random card in your deck for 1 mana. And then draw 4. Also very good. Yeah, I like it. Draneth Magistrate. Your opponents can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hands. I love it. It has this sense of like, like Wizards has been making all these hate bears, like Containment Priest and stuff, and it feels like each time they're just like, no, I mean it, stop it, don't do it. This time, really, really for real, you can't pay stuff from the graveyard, you can't cast stuff from exile. I'm serious this time. Just your hands, just your hands. Like, it just gets like more and more pronounced each time, I swear. But this is the exact sort of hate bear that, you know, I'm saying synergizes nicely with this. Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's kind of hard to evaluate these sorts of things. Like, the strong hate cards and the weak hate cards are defined not so much by exactly what they're hating as like their kind of general utility. This one has stats that are kind of hard to kill, but it doesn't get in for much damage. But basically it's like, we have to play fair magic. I swear to God this time, do not be playing your unfair magic. What was the one that was like, you can't cast spells with converted mana cost higher than the number of lands you have? That also felt like a very like, stop, stop, please stop. But that one, I think, is a good example of what seemed like a very strong, wide hate card, but didn't really end up having as big an impact as a lot of people thought. I'm sorry, I can't remember what card that is, but I think that's basically the effect. You can't cast spells that cost more than the lands you have. So again, it's like, this seems really broad. This seems like it hits a lot of different kind of combo-y degenerate decks. But will it actually have like the stats? Will it actually just have the utility to be sided in against those decks? I don't know. Time will tell. Ooh. Additional cost to cast a spell, discard X cards. Target player draws X, deals X damage to one target creature or planeswalker. That seems pretty good. You just get like a new hand under most circumstances. But it's, yeah, I don't know. This seems good. Seems solid enough. Especially you're playing like a low to the ground burn deck. You're curving out F4. You just stop playing lands at a certain point just to fuel this. Seems good. Monstrous Step. Damn, +7/+7. Y'all just, damn. This is kind of interesting though. Like, it forces the block, so it's effectively kind of removal. It's like one step away from fighting. But there are probably situations where you'd rather them not block for whatever reason. Like maybe you have another pump spell and you just want to get that creature through and surprise them. but here you have to play at sorcery speed, something that ensures that it gets trumped. Whatever. Ooh, Seb got a whole cycle of these mythos. Let's go. Dude, I love it. Oh, and these are I didn't gather this before because I'm slow on the uptake. But these are the creatures that are getting legendary creature type or legendary creature cards. All of those nightmare cats. Nightmare demon cats? I don't know. Yeah, nightmare dinosaur cats. That's what they all are. They all get a mythos too. I like it. Each player chooses an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a planeswalker from among the non-land permanents they control, then sacrifices the rest. Black and red was spent to cast the spell. You choose the permanents for each player instead. Ooh, I love that. Ooh, that's so spicy, because they still sack, so it gets around a lot of avoidance and removal and stuff. It's choosing, it's not targeting. You never target with this spell, so it gets rid of hexproof, it's sacking, so it gets around indestructible and stuff. Yeah, you really wipe them out. Even just the base effect is close to like a 4-mana Wrath. This card, the mythos so far seem like they have a lot of potential. And again, just the art, phenomenal, phenomenal. Wingfold Petreon. No. Wingfold Terron is how you would say that. It just kind of sounds like Heron. I like it. There's a battlefield with your choice of a flying counter or a hexproof counter. Nice. There seems to be kind of a flavor mechanic crossover theme that Wizards is doing where, like with Dragonlord Ojitai comes to mind, where things are either like flying and attacking and then they're targetable, or they're like nested and they're safe. I think that's cute. But yeah, this seems like a fine card. It's a vanilla big tiger. We already saw... No, we didn't. We saw a 1/3 for this mana cost. The 3/1 was the mana dork in 2 colors. But yeah, this card is... This is the same stats as that other cat. What's the 6th Pride? Something of the 6th Pride. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Reconnaissance Mission. Whenever a creature you control deals damage, combat damage to your player, you may draw a card. Very solid. Plus, cycling is quite nice. So, yeah, this seems good. Phase Dolphin. An elemental whale. Whenever it attacks another target attacking creature, it can't be blocked this turn. Cool. Huh. Neat. Hanging out. So these are the bonders mentioned here, I'm sure. People who are buddy-buddy with these big beasts. Neat. I find the lore of this set like kind of fun in that it's like so crazy and over the top, and yet in true Magic fashion, they try to really think about, in this crazy world of crazy creatures, what would the culture be? What kind of people would make their way here? What kind of civilizations would form? Really trying to sincerely and honestly answer those questions and not just be like, dinosaur meme! Yeah, it's cool. I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah, so I like the world building of this set I've seen so far. I'm very curious what the actual plot is going to be. I have no idea. I have no idea if they're trying to set up another grander overarching story or if it's just going to be some isolated incident. So far it seems like of our known characters, only Nissa is here. Or you cycle another card. Ooh, and cycling 1. Cycling 1 is so crazy. Big, so big. I like it. Look at how big it is. Yeah, I like everything about this card. Neutralize, counter target spell, cycling. What? Doesn't this exist already? There's never been a 3-mana counter. There's like miscalc. This seems good. Counter and cycling is like so nice. Like, oh my gosh. Like, miscalc is an amazing card, and this is just 1 more mana to make it totally uncounterable. I don't know. This seems like it has potential. I mean, I'm so skeptical of Wizards printing a good counterspell in this day and age, but just counter plus cycling is so good. Barely grazed, really dead. Ooh, that's so good. Let's go, Seb. The other ones didn't have flavor text, right? Yeah, see, that's the problem with like some cycles that some of them have flavor text and some of them don't. That kind of bugs me. It's too bad, but whatever. And that's the downside of like having such a cool mechanic. It takes up a lot of space. What does this one do? Destroy target non-land permanent if it's a creature. Ooh. So the way that they're incorporating like going outside of normal black creature pie with or color pie by allowing it to do green and white type things. Like green and white are much better at non-creature removal. And black is, of course, the creature removal specialist. So only by doing this crazy combo. Ooh, yeah, this is a cool card. When the shadow took living form, the shadow devoured the manhole. Body, mind, and soul. Cool. Seems quite strong, honestly. Like, even just destroy target creature 3 mana instant. Not bad. Like, it's easier mana requirements than murder. Proud Wildbonder. Trample. Holy. Trample turns into Super Trample. Trample turns into Ivy Elemental Trample. That's pretty cool. Of course, the synergy with that other big Tramplin' Lord is obvious. One day your footsteps will make mountains tremble. I like it. I like a lot of things about it. I think we've seen like another part of the story on the card Fully Grown, I'm pretty sure. We'll scroll down to it eventually. On the card Fully Grown, I think it's the same pair, but this guy is huge. I like it. Knock Blocked. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn if it's blocking instead +2. Ooh, that's kind of cool. I've never seen this sort of effect before where it's either a temporary boost or a permanent boost depending on some circumstances. That's neat. And again, cycling. Just whenever I see cycling, I'm like, the floor for this card's quality is very high. Call of the Death Dweller. Jesus, these things are creepy. Turn up to 2 target creatures from your total grid, blah, blah, blah. Whatever, just assume I said the right thing. Put a Death Touch counter on either of them. Put a Menace counter on either of them. I like it. I like it. This sort of thing is actually like much better utility than it might seem. To get a 1-drop and a 2-drop, like that's actually crazy value for 1 card. Even though it doesn't have the big blowout potential of other Reanimator spells, unless you get like really combo crazy, this is kind of what you want to be doing like early game a lot of the time anyways. You don't have to go all in on it. Ooh, Creepy Spider. Alright, it gets big. Just what I love. Big Creepy Spider. Yeah. Learning social distancing. Turn target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield with a lifelink counter on it. So we've seen 3 reanimation spells so far. That's kind of interesting. It seems like something that Wizards has been very skittish about supporting in a standard legal set. This one seems okay. Oh, there's a big otter. Sure. I don't know. It's like we haven't seen like a super insane payoff for it yet. Because for all the big creatures in the set, most of them are around mutate synergy, about making them even bigger once they've already been played. It doesn't seem like you're going to be able to get anything truly outrageous in just 1 card. I don't know. I don't know. This one just makes beasts. Makes sense. Shovel Bane of Monsters. So I guess there might be a cycle of 2-colored mythic rare legendary humans. I'm here for it. Death Touch. At the beginning of your upkeep, if your opponents control no permanents with bounty counters on them, then put a bounty counter on target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. Whenever a permanent an opponent controls with a bounty counter on it dies, you gain 3 life and draw a card. Alright, that's pretty cool. I like that. You basically pick what you think is most likely to die of all of your opponent's stuff. You kill it ASAP, you can get some pretty sweet benefits, and then you just do it again. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it never is going to get too crazy because you're just getting 1 bounty counter per turn. But I think there's a lot of decks that can make really good work of this. We saw this guy before. Round 2, fight. Alright, easy enough. This is kind of interesting. Red, I think, has never just had this effect straight up. Like, red creatures will fight, but usually under certain circumstances. Whereas green, where fight is primary. Like, look at this. Look at this. It's a little more expensive. And also, this is worth noting, this is a common, and this is an uncommon. So it really shows you where they want fight to be in the color pie. Death's Oasis. 3-color enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, but the top 2 cards of your library in your graveyard, then return a creature target with a lesser converted mana cost than the creature that died from your graveyard to your hand. Oh, well, that's kind of cool. Doesn't seem like it'll ever get too crazy, and then its other payoff is just life gain, which again, it's not too exciting. But it's nice, just kind of utility, and the art is really haunting. Death's Oasis, yeesh. Archipelagore, whoa! Okay, big Leviathan. Whenever it mutates, tap up to X target creatures. X is the number sign that's mutated, and then they get frozen. Sure. That makes sense. I just love the name. Archipelagore. Archipelagore, I think, actually makes more sense, because it looks like it's out to eat stuff. Not necessarily just gore them, but to devour them. Good. Either way, good pun. Generals, Enforcers. Ah. Okay, that could lead to an interesting deck. And then more graveyard hate. So it kind of looks like the humans are anti-reanimator, and then all of the beast stuff kind of gets reanimator going. Sure. Auspicious Starks. Whoa! Whoa! I thought I don't know what this was, what I thought this would do, but that's actually bananas. For 6 mana, you get a random thing, presumably a really big thing, and then you get to keep doing it as long as you can keep mutating stuff onto this. Yeah, this seems pretty crazy. Big explosive payoff potential. So it's like, how much ramp can you do without playing permanents? You just have a ton of like explorers, and we saw one explore type card already, the Migration's Path or whatever it's called. You load up your deck with tons of those. Then you just have this and confirmed fatties, and you go to town. Seems like fun. What I wonder is, when you put a permanent card onto the battlefield, I guess you can't mutate it, right? Because it's just coming onto the battlefield as a permanent. Because it would be cool. Excuse me. It would be cool if you exile something with this, and then you mutate onto it again and just keep going. That'd be crazy. Sure, tricolor crystal. That's not bad. And the fact that you can cycle it is so nice. I guess this is probably a cycle. Yep. Sure. Nice, okay. Blood Curdle. Sure. Shredded Sails. Hey, that's not bad. It's kind of like a braid, but mega braid. Deals with that friggin' moth. And it cycles. Crazy. Harmless Houseplant. Sure. That's not bad. Like, Naturalize is sometimes playable, and this is just Naturalize with cycling. That seems really good. Classification, we saw this before. Creepy monster. I like the cat better. This must be some sort of promo or something. Or I guess this is the promo. I see. Bundle. What does that mean? Sure. Primal Empathy. Draw a card if you control a creature with the greatest power. Ooh, I like this. Because it leads to the mirror match being like really crazy. But you're racing to get this benefit. Or it grows. I really like this card. And that just seems like such a fun kind of long game story. Like it's just gonna keep leading to back and forths and interesting stuff. I think I would like it better if it was cheaper and it was symmetrical. Like at the beginning of each player's upkeep, they draw a card if they control the strongest creature. I think that would be more interesting. But it's still, you try to net a card by not letting your opponent, or letting your, whatever. Okay. We saw this before. That's a big bat. Whenever it mutates, destroy it. Whoa. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that they would do one of these, but the mutate cost is 6. That's pretty rough. Crystalline Giants. Ha 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 ha! Whoa! Crazy. I wonder how they expect people to do this. My suggestion is to pull all of the different counters out of like a hat, and then you just gotta like slam it down without looking, so you get a random side as well. That sounds like fun. Flying, first strike, death touch, hexproof, lifelink, mana, reach, trample, vigilance, or +1/+1. That's so silly. I just love it. It just keeps growing in all these random directions. It's like that one Pokemon ability. What was that one Pokemon ability that raised the stat by 2 and lowered the stat by 1 at random each turn? And it turned out to be the most like broken degenerate thing ever. I doubt this guy will be the most broken degenerate thing ever, but very cool. Saw this bat before. Mysterious egg. Ooh! So you just kind of put this on the stack. Put it in the mutate stack, and then you know that you're mutating will just get bigger and bigger. That's fun. That's really cool, actually. Because before I was thinking like mutate was just kind of big dudes on big dudes, and you just try to make the biggestest dude ever. But now this card opens up this idea of like mutate being more about ingredients, like just kind of putting together a bunch of small creatures that end up becoming huge through the very act of mutating rather than necessarily any given mutation. Neat. It's also, whoa, holy moly. It's also interesting that this is a colorless creature. It's not an artifact creature, it's just a colorless creature. That's not an Eldrazi either, but it has the full art. Strange. I guess this is what they do with colorless cards, even if they aren't Eldrazi. But this art, I just can't get over. This promo is going to sell for like $1 million. Ooh, it's King Kong! I guess they probably don't have the rights to put King Kong in the set himself. But they made King Kong. This is King Kong. There's a battlefield, fights up to one target creature you don't control. When it attacks, you destroy an artifact or enchantment. Ah, this is cute. It's kind of the King Kong type thing. You know, he took a hostage, kind of taking something out of commission, taking it as a hostage, but then they can't kill it because it has the hostage. Sure, this is a cool card. Good stats, fun effects, big ape finisher. What more can you want? Mecha Godzilla! The crystalline giant becomes the Mecha Godzilla. Sure. Yeah, Mecha Gojira. Getsenheiki. Getsenheiki. This is like Decisive War Soldier container. Decisive War Soldier container. Maybe this means like tank or something container? Like war tank. Maybe this whole thing means tank. This is like decisive tank. I don't know. Sure. Dirge Bat is Batora. Batra? Alright, that makes sense. That's a bat. And I do not want to... actually, this is like gloomy black... sharp thing? I don't really know what these are. Whatever. A mysterious egg. So this is a Godzilla character too. Masura no Kyotai na. Oh, this is Cocoon, I think. Mayu? So it's like Mothra's big cocoon. Dude, I love it. This art is crazy. Sprite Dragon, we saw that before. Bio Quartz. I think this was another one of the leaked ones. It's like, oh, this looks familiar. Bio Quartz Space Godzilla. So you can mutate it from the graveyard. That's kind of cool. But the only thing it gives when you mutate is just either trample or 6/6. So that's not the most exciting thing in the world, but I guess 6/6 is actually about as huge as we've seen most creatures. So Getting your random mutant stack up to 6/6, probably pretty good. Creepy. Very creepy, but sure. Yeah, kind of cute. It's hanging out with all these birds and stuff. Dorat, the perfect pet. This is another Godzilla thing, I guess. Sure. Space Godzilla Death Corona. I think we saw this card before, the Void Beckoner. Yeah. It's pretty good. 8/8 Death Touch is kind of awkward, though. It's like, yeah, we know. Here we got an 11/11 Godzilla, even though it's just an uncommon. So that's there you go. There's your big Godzilla. Sure. Okay, I think we're caught up. Yeah, we've seen these before. We're caught up. I just wanted to see fully grown again, so we can see if it's the same people. It is! I'm almost certain that it is. Where was the other guy? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. Aww. Oh, that's so cute. Okay. Another hour of talking about magic cards. Another hour well spent. Let's look forward to more spoilers, probably on Monday. Okay. Bye-bye.